Hi there, I'm John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our MBA Watch Profile of the Week, sponsored by Stratus Admissions Counseling. We have a guy who's calling himself Mr. Chemical Engineering Dad. That kind of endears him to me automatically, being a dad, of course, and a grandfather. He went to Virginia Tech, majored in chemical engineering, came out with a 3.5 GPA. He's applying with a 710 GMAT. He's an associate at a boutique venture capital firm. He has gotten a promotion, and he started there as an analyst, and after 1 year got bumped up to be an associate. And his number one school is Wharton, but he's also applying to 3 other very elite MBA programs, Harvard, MIT, and Stanford. We have with us Melisa Prevost from Stratus to evaluate his candidacy. What do you think of this dad, Melisa?
I have to say, I was endeared as well. As a mom of 3, I was like, all right, if he's dad, he's got to be great, right? So, I think people coming into a program with VC backgrounds are very interesting to schools. It's such a popular yet very elusive exit strategy for business school. Being a parent, I think there aren't many people who come to an MBA with kids. So, if there's a way he can pull that, I think that's a uniqueness to him versus other, American male finance guys, right? That's something that can be a differentiator for him. I think the challenge is his GMAT score. Not knowing where he is on his GMAT journey, as I like to call it. If he's got one more in him, I would give it another try, because I think if there's anything that might hold him back, it might be that just being compared again against other American males in finance. They tend to be hitting above the average, not below the average. And not to say that it's not possible, but it would take a pretty compelling story otherwise, I think, to overcome that GMAT score.
What are the things that this guy needs to do to make sure he can get into one of these 4 schools? Certainly, you mentioned probably the most important one. Retake the GMAT and get a better score, probably at least the class average, right?
I would say also, what's the big challenge that he wants to solve by going back into VC? So, I think that having a stated goal is important, but having that personal side as to why and what challenge do you want to help overcome in your life can make that story more compelling. And finding your story that can really resonate with admissions is important. And I think that personal side is very important.
Now, he's applying to 4 M7 schools. Should he hedge his bets, or because he's working in venture capital already and has been somewhat successful, having been promoted, I'm imagining he's earning a good amount of money as it is. And people who are leaving or intend to leave jobs that are high paying for business school tend to want to be at the very best business schools, or it's sort of, Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, MIT, or bust. What do you make of it?
I would add Haas to the list. They're on the West Coast. From a startup perspective, innovation perspective, I think, it would be another great place to look. I think the other question for him is, why has he not made that move onto a startup? Has he been trying and had some challenges and really thinking the MBA is going to help him make that pivot? There are other schools that can help make that pivot. Another couple that he might want to consider would be potentially a Yale or a Tuck from an entrepreneurial standpoint. And this might be outside of what he was looking to reach for, but even a Foster that from a technology perspective would have great placement from a startup technology perspective.
Yeah, that's really true. Good way to get into VCs as well. His long-term goal is kind of interesting too. He wants to form an early stage med tech focused venture fund that is social impact driven.
It's a little bit why I added Yale and Tuck to the list, because from the social impact, and Haas, frankly, the social impact side, not to say that Wharton, MIT, and Harvard and Stanford aren't looking for social, because absolutely they are. But I think there are some schools that punch above their weight from a social impact perspective that could really help him. He's got the VC side, so help him round out what that social entrepreneurship side might look like to put those two sides together.
All right, Melisa, let me put you on the spot. What are his odds at Wharton?
So I think with this GMAT, it's, I'd say he's probably on average, because I think the VC weighs that out. I don't think there's any question he can handle the academic rigor of the program, right? It's going to be a little bit more comparative amongst other people. With an increased GMAT, I think he increases his chances to, above the average, just with the VC and the different perspective of coming in with as a dad.
You got to bump up that GMAT score for a white guy in finance to get in one of these elite schools. Melisa, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chemical Engineering Dad, good luck to you. Retake the GMAT, swallow your pride, get a higher score. You're going to get into one of these great schools. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. You've been watching our MBA Watch Profile of the Week, sponsored by Stratus Admissions Counseling.